G'day folks, welcome to an ACC Queensland weather wrap today, the first day of December 2022. My name's Chris Nitzo. This update brought to you by TownsvilleSheds.com, our major sponsor. Check them out if you're in the market for a shed-safe accredited shed. November finished with a bang, with lots of places receiving lots of rain across the eastern half of the state, and December has started with an equally big bang across large sections of eastern Queensland. Just remember, anything after 9 a.m. yesterday goes into December's rainfall, not November's rainfall. Looking at what's going on today, we've got an area of rotation in the Gulf of Carpentaria associated with a trough line, big southerly dry airflow, monsoon-like northwesterlies are coming in on the northern side of that, and we're creating lots of squally conditions up there in the Northern Cape. Across North Queensland, we've got a big southerly coming up that part of the coastline too, and it's going to mix with these northerlies and northwesterlies, and we're going to create a bit of interesting rotation up here around or just east of Cooktown, so we'll keep an eye on that through the day. Elsewhere, we've got lots of light patchy rain. It's going to start to clear across most of central Queensland, although the stuff around southeast Queensland might stick around. Also off southeast Queensland, very importantly, we've got a low pressure system located off the Fraser Island coastline out here, and the expectation is, while it's not going to drive a hell of a lot of rain onto the coast, it is going to drive a hell of a lot of wind onto the coast. And the Bureau has severe weather warnings out for dangerous surf through southeast Queensland, and even for damaging winds through parts of southeast Queensland, particularly exposed coastal areas and the islands, so check them out when you get a chance. Looking at rainfall today, we can see there's quite a bit of this light, patchy, garbagey rain across southeast Queensland, southeast inland Queensland. There's a bit of isolated, higher-based convective cell activity back through the inland parts of southern and central Queensland. Not too interested from a rainfall perspective there. Some of our heaviest rainfall today is expected to be on the North Tropical Coast, particularly the northern parts of the North Tropical Coast, and up towards the Cape York Peninsula region. Of course, we've got that trough, as I mentioned, nice little area of rotation that could develop near Cookie. And then up here in the Gulf of Carpentaria, we've got a broad area of rotation up there that we're watching. None of those expected to do too much with their lives, but always interesting to watch. You can also see a couple of isolated convective cells heading down towards Cairns. But overall, the most interesting stuff on the satellite will probably be down here. It'll look cool, but the most interesting stuff from a weather perspective is definitely happening up here in the far north. All right, so that's today. You can see eventually that light patchy rain starts to ease through the evening hours and that low pushes away off the coastline through tonight. Overnight tonight and early tomorrow, we see lots of rainfall potential around the coastal parts of the Cape, but very little going on elsewhere. Rainfall between now and when we speak again tomorrow, we can see significant rainfall up here in the Cape and also northern parts of northeast Queensland out here between sort of Port Douglas and Cooktown and areas further to the north. Very isolated, I don't know about that intensity, but very isolated convective showers could happen around the Burdekin region up towards the inland of Mackay area, and of course we've got that light patchy rain going on through the southeast interior. And don't forget the isolated convection that could occur through the southern interior, central interior. Not expecting much rain out of that. It looks to be more mid-level based. Alrighty, so that's happening over the next 24 hours. Let's have a quick look at wind. Right, so our low pressure system here east of Fraser Island is creating some big winds, and obviously that's why the warning's there for. You can see wind gusts up to about 55, 60 knots. I think we've recorded up around 55 to 60 knots already this morning. So you can see that continuing through to about this afternoon, this evening. Through the back half of the evening, we're starting to see winds moderating a touch, but we're only moderating them down to about 35 to 40 knots. Notice the rest of the coastline also under the influence of these big southerlies, and notice in here up towards that Cooktown, Cape Melville area, this is a nice little interesting area of convergence between northwesterlies and southeasterlies, and also our little low pressure system here to the west of Weipa dragging itself northwards, kicking and screaming with these southerly winds. Interesting little dynamic there going on. So as I say, the most interesting part meteorologically is up here in the Northern Cape and Eastern Cape, and the most interesting thing on the ground, I guess if you're on the ground, is going to be what's going on down here in southeast Queensland with those big winds on that exposed coast. Oh, and just in case you haven't noticed, it's cold, particularly in southeast and central east Queensland. You can see very chilly, barely making it up to 20 degrees. Some places will barely make it past 15 degrees today, so very chilly down here in the southern parts of the state. Have a wonderful day, and remember, we go into way more detail if you head over to join.ozcyclonechasers.com.au and check out our subscription options. I will talk to you tomorrow.